What's happening? It's Denise, and I'm back with yet another video. So tonight I'll be talking about the food mishap with the Philadelphia School District at Mitchell Elementary. For those that do not know where Mitchell is, it is located in Southwest Philadelphia. And I am livid because no kid should ever go hungry. While, some things are beyond the school's control, whether it be at home or things like that, and there may be some cases of neglect, there's nothing that they can do with that if they're not notified. But when a kid is in school, they are to be provided with safety and security. Now, when that is no longer a factor and children cannot get that, then that is a huge issue. So I heard about this, going down my timeline. I unfortunately didn't get to see it on the news because, I probably would have been even a little more shocked. But I started getting bits and pieces, and it was on No Gun Zone as well. And they were saying that the kids did not receive food on Thursday, which was September 23rd. They didn't receive breakfast or lunch. And I'm like, what is going on? So I did my research. I went and found out, where this school was, because I had never heard of it. So I'm like, well, where is this school at? Like, what was the story? And all they did was, it was very brief. They sent letters home to let the parents know that the children did not eat that day or did not receive food that day from the food delivery service that is provided by the Philadelphia School District. So their plan to fix it was to order 400 pizzas. Now, I don't know how they thought that was going to feed everybody. You're not possibly factoring in if somebody's allergic to dairy and things like that. And who's to say that they ordered like all different types, like, gluten-free and dairy-free. They probably just got 400 cheese pizzas. Then to take it a step further, they said that only a small amount of the pizzas actually arrived. And the second, I guess part of the order didn't arrive until 2:15. And then you must factor in that some of these pizza places do not have the capacity to make 400 pizzas. They are not expecting to get a call like that to say, hey, excuse me, we need 400 pizzas. So can you get them together right now, pronto? They have that in the menu, but it's not possible. That's something that multiple, people probably can facilitate. And who's to say that they didn't call several, pizza places to say, hey, are you able to provide this many and this many? Now we're talking about different delivery fees, and who's to say where this money is coming from, that they had to come up with all this money to purchase 400 pizzas. But I went and did my research further, and after I read another article by the Inquirer, they actually went more in detail that the food actually was delivered Wednesday afternoon, and the food sat because it gets delivered a day before the food is actually needed. I don't know how it's stored or anything, but the reason why they're saying that the food, according to a representative from the Philadelphia School District, said that the food was not distributed because the lunch person called out. Now, this is where, of course, understanding the full mission of, who you service is very important. Yes, everybody has issues, and you just have to understand the assignment, of course. And so they said that their, usual process is that they have rovers, that if that designated lunch person can, not fill the spot that day, they're supposed to, send somebody out. But they did not do that. So not only did they fail the students by not providing them breakfast and lunch, they, did not have anybody to actually facilitate it. Now, I'm confused because why didn't the principal come up with another plan of action? Your plan of action, or whoever you talked to, was to let's order 400 pizzas. I honestly think that they should have put their gloves on. Now, one thing is for sure, you probably need a safe serve. And if it wasn't going to be the staff, it should have been volunteer and parents. And this is why volunteer parents are important. Chaperones. So vet your volunteers. Parents also get involved. If you are not active in your kid's school yet, you may want to get involved. There are parent action groups now available, and going to parent-teacher night. There are various options. But let me let y'all know what I did. So I went on the website, right? And it tells me what their mission statement is. And according to Mitchell Elementary, their mission statement is to prepare their students to be lifelong learners and to develop motivated and engaged students in interactive classrooms. What I find most interesting about that is, in order to be engaged, motivated, or anything, you need to eat. Now, while adults skip breakfast, while they skip breakfast sometime, I know for me that if I don't eat after a certain time, I start getting migraines, I start getting cranky. And depending on if I ate the night before, I'm really maybe messed up. Like, I'm famished. So I know that, a kid, their stomachs can't take that, like not eating a balanced meal. And I remember back in the day, they used to tell you, make sure you get some rest, hydrate yourself, eat a balanced meal before testing and things like that. And that's so you're not distracted. Like, you may be like having a headache, or your stomach is like growling or something while you're taking the test, or anything, just learning. You don't need any other further distractions when you're learning, because there are people talking. If you have a short attention span, you may have ADHD, or it's something else. And now you have these STEM classrooms, which is why, they've made organized smaller classrooms, because a lot of people cannot deal with a lot of the distractions. You got sidebar conversations, depending on if you're nosy, you want to know what's going on with him, her, them, everybody else going on around you. And now, the chain of learning is broken. So they need to rethink this, mission statement, because on that day, they did not hold true to that. And then I went further. So they have this link where they tell you what the menu is. And the menu apparently for that day was supposed to be, starting with breakfast, waffles, vanilla yogurt with granola, a banana and some apple juice, and of course some milk. So I know me, I love parfaits. So I'd have been a little hot, like if I didn't get my parfait, banana, my apple juice, my waffles, I'd have been a little throwed off. And then to take it a step further, lunch did not arrive. So now I'm really starving. I'm, thinking to myself, damn, maybe I'll eat a little later. And then what was their plan of action with the children? Like, how did they notify them? Did they tell the teachers? And I think constant contact. Like, when did you tell the parents that their children were not going to eat? That way that they could maybe have early dismissal if they knew they weren't going to eat. But you held these kids to about probably 3 o'clock, not eating. You gave them pizza and probably didn't even look in the, records to say, hey, maybe they're allergic to something, or, what's in the pizza, and yeah, just a lot going on. And then to take it a step further, let's talk about lunch. So it was supposed to be tacos, some wheat buns to go with the chicken patties, some baked beans, and some plums. I'm not understanding how baked beans go with tacos, and I'm probably sure it was supposed to go with these chicken patties that they were serving. But that don't sound appetizing. And maybe when I was in 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, this probably was the bomb. But as an adult, it sounds horrible. But anyway, you want to nourish your body. You want to make sure that you get something in your stomach so that you can learn properly. And then to top it off, you had the plums that they were supposed to be eating. And then they had some milk. I remember back in the day, they had these bag milks that they used to give us. They had cartons, but these bag milks had like a Capri Sun straw with them, right? I thought they was pretty dope. They had vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry milk. But anyway, so, that's just going off topic. But all I'm saying is this was just horrible. Like, I don't understand how y'all dropped the ball like that. And personally, if it was my child, I would be outraged, whether I'm contacting the school district or even just need answers to demand that something happen to the principal, because why did these kids not eat? And then your only way of telling them is you sent a letter to say, hey, you know what? Yesterday we forgot to feed your kid because somebody called out. And at what time did you know that they called out? Because school started at 8 o'clock. Some schools start at 7:30. And I know that, all students, are expected to report on time, or come to school. And if they're not on time, they're holding your student accountable. If you are not attending, they're holding you accountable with truancy and all these things like that. And then they start calling you a bad parent, and they want to dispatch all these different people to your house. But where was the accountability that day? If y'all had to put on gloves or whatever y'all had to do to make sure these kids got their food, and then moving forward, if this happens, at first I was under the impression that they didn't get the food at all. So maybe, what was the problem? When did y'all know they weren't going to deliver it? But the fact of that the food was at the school. So now not only that, food actually went to waste. It's people that don't eat. And then you must consider that there are some kids who do not have a meal unless they attend school. They're not eating at home. Some kids are eating out the trash. Hunger is still relevant. Like, there are people who still go hungry. I remember seeing commercials back in the day, like, there's so much, the television is so saturated. So they got to pick and choose what PSAs they want to, get to you. Right now it's COVID. So they're pushing the vaccine. They're pushing a lot of other things on you. And a lot of other issues that's going on. So you don't see that, as many PSAs like they used to say, wrap it up and make sure you have safe sex and don't do drugs like the DARE. Don't start forest fires and all those kind of things that were staple PSAs that you would never forget. While they helped some, others they didn't. But all in all, this video was to just shed light on the neglect of the Philadelphia School District with the communication, because there should be some system in place now moving forward to say, hey, were all the children fed? Were there any issues with the meal? Like, was every kid satisfied? Were they bellies filled? Were they safe? Once they step out to school, there should be school police. They should be safe to and fro, school. I know, there's a lot of bullying going on, so there, needs to be some therapy with that. They're getting away from so many things and taking so many things away from children. Guidance counselors, therapy. So many children are being affected by gun violence, so they need as much therapy as possible, because there will be untreated trauma later on. Kids don't know how to work through grief. You also want to ask your child, like, how are you dealing with the gun violence in Philadelphia, the crime? How are you being affected? Many of them are losing friends earlier and earlier in kindergarten. I saw like this video of this little girl. She ran out into the street and got hit, and she was in the hospital, and she was like, I don't ever want to go back home. Like, that is traumatizing. How to, and a lot of people don't have the funds to just up and move today and bounce and go somewhere else. And there are issues everywhere. There's crime. You got different monsters in different places. So, you still must do your research. You want to make sure the school district is, well, but just open the lines of communication. Make sure that you ask the school what's going on. Like, there are a lot of maintenance issues that they neglect to tell you about and things like that. Just keeping the lines of communication up with your teachers. How's my student doing? Don't tell me in June that my kid has been failing all this time. And, sometimes they do tell you. I mean, now, I know, like, whether it's a charter school, they have these apps now that keep you abreast. I know when I was in school, they ain't had these apps. Your teacher said, hey, you know what? You're messing up. I'm going to send an interim report home, and I'm going to call your parent. And you had a lot of kids. When I was in school, that was like, I don't care, call my parent. I was like, no, you don't got to call mine, because my mom will come up here and act ape shit. But anyway, my mom barely had to come up to my school. And when she did, though, a couple times, it wasn't good. And I'm glad that we was able to nip that in the bud very quickly, because it probably would have been real ugly. Like, my mom was always one of them people, like, I need to speak to somebody about my child. Like, not just jumping to conclusions like a lot of parents do. Oh, what the teacher said. You got to know your kid too, because a lot of people know that their kid is not the most well-behaved, and then they go up to the school and act like park apes, like they don't know that their kid just is a terror. Like, some kids are just not likable. Like, they know what they doing, they look at you and just act a fool. So, know your kid, talk to the schools, keep the lines of communication open, let them know. I feel like the more that they see your face, they'll know, okay, you know what? So-and-so mom don't play that. We know we need to call her. We need to keep in contact. If anything goes wrong, first day of school, let them know. You need to call me. Show face. Because some of these teachers don't ever get to see parents. And I think COVID actually made some parents step up, because you had to pick your kid up. And I know where my daughter goes, you had to actually get in line, sign out to pick your kid up. Like, that's a big issue as well, because, people have everybody picking their kids up, even kids. And you got kids walking home that's real little. There are still predators, so teach your kids about predators as well. Everybody ain't their friend. Everybody ain't, still talk to your kids about strangers as well. I don't hear that either. Don't talk to strangers. Like, all these things are just very important. I don't want to be, like, off topic, but if you're watching, I hope you enjoyed this live. This will also be uploaded to my YouTube channel, and thank you all for watching. I just wanted to touch on that topic, and I'll be back with another video next week.